It's the as usual hot Saturday, and we're back here in our studios just to bring you nothing but the best in terms of sports and where sports is concerned. And when I say to bring you the best, we mean whatever took place and happened within the course of the week, where we had a lot of dramas. And welcome to Off the Pitch. I'm your host, Amos, aka Amore, as Angorapson would say. And I'm not alone on stage, I'm joined by Angorapson. Angorapson, welcome to the show.
Good afternoon, Amos, and good afternoon, dear viewers. It's good to be back on the show. It's not by power or not by might. It's by the grace of God that we have seen this lovely Saturday morning. And it was a beautiful week. The week started on a very, very high note. We saw the minister announcing that the local games will be open to the members of the public, and the fans will be back on the pitch starting this Wednesday. And it's been a very, very, very good week. We saw the national team playing a game on Thursday. We saw the senior team, the ladies team being kicked out of in the semi-finals. The young ones are in the finals. Then this morning we saw one of our headlines at Nkana Football Club, Sate Ronald Kambamba is getting married, and it's just been an eventful week, and I'm looking forward to the show. Let's look at the drama that took place within the course of this week. For me, I feel like the biggest drama again that took place was the anonymous appearance of one Enoki. Well, it all goes back to Salzburg. RB Salzburg had an eventive week. I don't know how they were trying to make sure that they keep all their professionals who were about to go for the international break. They brought in the issues of COVID, but we saw the results being turned around 72 hours after the initial tests were done. The results came out. The club remained with no choice but to release the players, and amongst the beneficiaries of the players released is Zambia national soccer team. We had our own Enoch Mwepo flying in on Wednesday afternoon and in readiness for the game on Thursday, and we saw the reason why Michu had to gamble on a player who arrived barely 24 hours before the match started, and we saw the results of that particular contribution from one Enoch Mwepo, who ended up being the captain of the team at the end of the game. Something that people never expected. Anyway, before we get into much of the details concerning the game that was played on Thursday between Zambia and Botswana, and maybe just a snippet on the games that were played again, we'll just take a very, very short break, and you catch us back on the other side with the guest that we have here in the studios with us today. Let's just take a short break.
Join Pastor Victoria and Moses Chilua, the Healing Word Ministries International.
Starting on the 3rd to 6th December 2020.
Dr. Francis Miles from the USA returns to Zambia for a conference on issuing restraining orders.
Because you see, God responds to your revelation. So if you approach God as the healer, He heals you. If you approach Him as your shepherd, He will touch your soul. But if you approach Him judicially, He will show you He's the cause.
Venue, the Healing Word Ministries International in Ibex Hill. Time,
17 hours to 19 hours from Thursday to Saturday.
And on Sunday from 09 hours to 11 hours. For more details, call +260 962 965 883. You do not want to miss this conference this time.
Msika is here. We have you all covered with just 150 kwacha. You can advertise every day from 17 hours to 18 hours. For a 30-second ad, get the benefit of selling your products and services on Msika. For more details, call our marketing department on +260 953 995099 +260 962 444 726 or +260 971 177 467. Email us on info@camnettvafrica.com. Terms and conditions apply.
This is Camnet TV World News. For a prompt response, call +2609 53 995 099 or +2609 62 444 726 or +2609 711 77467. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
An engagement between ourselves as Ministry of Youth, Sport and Child Development, as well as the Ministry of Health and FAS. Of course, Sports Council of Zambia has been part of this meeting. We have come up with guidelines which should be followed by FAS so that we allow fans to go back to the stadium. You know that football is the #1 sport in this country, and almost everyone loves football and they love watching football. So as government, we scrutinized the submission by FAS that we allow fans to go to the stadium, and we submitted those suggestions to Ministry of Health, and Ministry of Health has come up with guidelines which needs to be followed by FAS. And we are happy to tell the fans that we have allowed them to go back to the stadium and to watch the game which they love so much, which is close to their heart. And just an appeal to FAS as well as clubs. Our appeal is that they should adhere to health regulations which have been put in place. They should make sure that stadiums don't become a breeding ground for COVID-19 or transmission of the COVID-19 between the spectators. They should make sure that each spectator is protected from contracting the COVID-19.
First and foremost, allow me to thank the government through the Ministry of Youth and Sport for opening doors for the fans to get back to the stadium. We are most grateful that our appeal has been paid and it was authority granted. However, I wish to state that yesterday we received communication from CAF to an extent that they would not allow soccer fans at tomorrow's encounter against Botswana, and if we did, we are going to be sanctioned seriously. And to that effect, we would like to urge our soccer fans that tomorrow's game will be played behind closed doors and would not allow soccer fans. However, we allow soccer fans during our local league games.
That was what Angorapson, I think, spoke of earlier, to say the fans have been allowed in the stadium, and that was the minister and one secretary just giving us an overview in terms of whatever is going to be happening in terms of the games that will be played. Those are the league games. don't quote me wrong, those are the league games. Fans are only allowed to watch the league games, that's the Zambian league games, and we are still waiting to hear what will be put ahead of us. But I know before we go into details over that, we've got one Winford joining us on set. Winford, welcome to Off the Pitch.
Thank you so much, and good afternoon to you and our dear viewers out there. I think it's a pleasure for me to be hosted on Off the Pitch for the first time, and I'm looking forward to have a very fruitful show.
No, you will. You saw, anyway, before wasting much of the time, Ango Rapson hit it hard on the head. Was it the right time for the fans to be allowed back in the stadium?
There's been a couple of events that have been happening. We've seen some political meetings that have been happening where the crowds are brought together. We've seen a couple of shows being hosted and being allowed with police permits and everything else. I think the bringing in of the fans back into the pitch is very, very timely, and it's a very, very good thing to the clubs. We've seen a lot of clubs struggle into movements, and fans add a lot of value to the teams and get takings on its own. Like a very simple estimate is the Zambia national soccer team. We've been hearing that every time when the gates are open and the fans are being allowed on the pitch, Football Association of Zambia raises close to 2 million kwacha for every game. Now we can imagine a match like the game we had against Botswana. Of course, that one has nothing to do with Football Association of Zambia.
Yeah, it was CAF
that regulates the fans in the stadium, and it's a very, very good move for the teams across the country, and the fans, the 12th player on the pitch, which is always there to cheer the players and all that, is back on the scene, and we should be able to see two positive ends. Players being motivated on the pitch to perform because they are being watched by their favorite fans. Gate takings are also going to add a lot of value to the coffers of the clubs, and generally, the way the Zambian League has started on a very, very strong note with the introduction of fans. Competition will be very, very stiff, very, very stiff. We've seen a couple of games being played, very, 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 very tough fixtures being played without fans, and the excitement without fans, where you are watching a game on TV, you can tell that when the 12th player joins the party on the pitch, we are yet to see exciting football this season.
Anyway, before I go to Winford, our question for today is, do you think Zambia will qualify to the AFCON after the Thursday game, after the performance that they had on the Thursday game against Botswana? You can just call in and give us your view as a fan who watched that game at home. And hopefully the next game that will be played at home, hopefully fans will be allowed by then, because like Ango Rapson is that from saying, it's not about fans, but it was all about CAF. And Mr. Winford, sure. I'm sure you were also very eager to be in the stadium on Thursday, but you couldn't make it. But how is it of benefit to the teams that are playing our Zambian league in terms of them having the third player in the pitch who is a fan?
I think Uncle Robson, I think, has tackled two most important things. He talked about the motivation that comes from the fans, as well as the money in terms of gate takings. So for me, the other thing I think I'm looking at this is that when you look at most of these Zambian Super League teams, like what Uncle Robson said, I think look at Nkana, most of the money that they make from gate takings, I think it's the money that can sustain a team even to do one or two things. So for me, it's a good thing. And I'm just looking at this, I think, on a marketing perspective, since I think the government, through the Ministry of Sports, announced that it's high time, I think, in our clubs, I think, tap into that and get it into their advantage. What I mean by saying that is mostly people, especially fans, I think, were more like waiting for them to be allowed to get back on the pitch. And for us as Zambia Super League supporters, it's, I think, we can't wait, because over the weekend, I think people have been calling and asking maybe when the league games will be resumed. So for clubs, I think that's high time they tapped into that and see how they can now give that warm welcome to the fans. If it means maybe to introduce some certain incentives, for example, I think yesterday one girl called me, was asking me to say, okay, what if maybe clubs would introduce something like Wi-Fi, maybe in the VVIP, something like that. I think that would, I think, motivate more fans to come on the scene. The other thing that I can also tackle on is the issue concerning maybe giving back to the fans who are loyal to the club. maybe introducing maybe certain incentives to say, what if you watch maybe 4 or 5 games for Zanaco Fonkana, maybe the next game you are going to watch it will be free, or you are going to walk away with a replica jersey. So I think it will be good to see the 12th player on the pitch to be back. And all you know, this will help football clubs in terms of running their affairs in an economical way.
So, Uncle Robson, are we looking at something that will be more of, there will be a specific number, or we are hoping to see, I'll give an example of Kalampa. Because we see how the Ghana Stadium gets full.
Exactly.
No. Guidelines have been given, and there are very, very strong conditions that have been issued out, and all the clubs have been urged to stick to the health guidelines as directed by Ministry of Health, and it will be a restricted number. Social distancing will be observed, but the beauty about it all is that clubs will benefit from gate takings, and the fans, it will be an issue of first come, first served basis, and I'm only hoping that the fans will be disciplined enough to keep that distance. Otherwise, we might get ourselves into a situation where certain stadiums, which will not have enough control, they will be probably relegated back to playing in an empty stadium if they don't comply to the conditions that have been given by Ministry of Health, as well as guided by the Football Association of Zambia. So it's a situation where fans will be allowed, but they will be controlled. Now, the way I look at the local fans, my hope and prayer is that we should be disciplined enough as fans to observe the guidelines, so that this doesn't change the position from fans to close certain stadiums because of non-compliance. So it's up to us as fans to make sure that we comply to the laid down procedures, the laid down rules, and the guidelines from Ministry of Health, so that the 12th player remains on the pitch for the rest of the season. It could be a situation where certain stadiums will have an issue of back and forth because of poor security, poor social distancing, and all that. But all in all, it's a beautiful decision that Football Association of Zambia has made, and it's very, very timely.
Because for me, I'm looking at it in an aspect of a lot of fans we are waiting for this decision to be made. So I'm looking at it in an aspect of, okay, look at, there's a game here. Imagine how the fans, you stand on a queue for a very long time, and then you just end up where you are. They say, okay, this is the number that we want, and then you remain behind. So I'm trying to figure out to say, how are they going to accommodate everyone to benefit? Because you and Rapson, where you are as a Ghana fan, definitely you'd want to watch the game live.
Who tells you that I'm a Ghana fan? Okay, you see, every stadium has a limited capacity. Even Hero Stadium, the whole country can go and watch soccer. It's got a limited capacity, and once the capacity is sold off, people have got no choice but to watch soccer from the TV. So similarly, it's the same thing to this call from fans that the stadium is open, but a limited number will be open. It's like the Europa Champions League. I mean, the Champions League games. We have seen a couple of games where in certain countries, fans are allowed for the Champions League. Fans are allowed, limited number, social distancing. If that level of discipline can be replicated here, which is a bit very, very difficult, because out there it's very easy because the capacity of the stadium is known. The tickets are sold as per seat. So it's very easy to control that from outside. My worry, like you have said, your concern is local.
Local.
The capacity of the stadium is unknown. There are no seat numbers. It's an issue. It's an issue where you allow fans to get into the pitch and you keep peeping. Are we okay? We can still allow more until you get to a stage where you see that, okay, now the pitch is filled up, the space, the social distancing is on point, close the gate. It becomes very, very difficult, and I'm only hoping that clubs can comply.
So, are we looking at those are some of the issues that FAZ has to put into consideration, or it's the owner of the stadium?
It's about clubs now.
So, in short, clubs have to make sure to say what's the capacity of our stadium. But I'll give an example of, let's look at Sunset. That's the best example I'll give.
Let's not dwell on that. Leave it to the clubs. Let's discuss football and leave it to the clubs. The clubs have an obligation. They have to respect the guidelines and follow them to the letter.
Exactly.
That is the most important thing.
Exactly.
So to start discussing the nitty-gritties of how clubs will provide security, let's watch and see, and you and I cover these games. We are going to cover these games, and we are going to come back and discuss certain things that we are going to observe whether clubs are complying or not. Of course, FAS is also watching very closely, and everything is being watched with a lot of questions that ought to be answered correctly by the home teams that will be hosting these games.
So away from that, since the decision that came was all about CAF, not in terms of the game that we played on Thursday, so are we hopefully to see fans back in the stadium the next game that Zambia will have at home?
Yeah, I think for me it's not that easy, because like you've put it, that is something that is coming from CAF, and we are not hoping, I think, to have fans back on the pitch the next game that we'll be playing at home against Algeria. So unless maybe if CAF gives guidelines to FAS, that's when FAS will allow fans to get back to the pitch. But for me, in terms of local football, where clubs, I think, have been given that go ahead to say you can allow your members, your supporters to get back to the pitch, it's a good thing. Like what Uncle Abson was saying, I think it would be just bad whereby you're almost on the queue, you're trying to enter the stadium, then you're told to say, okay, now it's full, now you leave. Now imagine some certain teams, I can't mention names here, what's going to happen whereby yourself, Labson or Mr. Winford, you're not going to enter into the stadium is packed. So I think that's where my concern is coming.
So in short, the teams have to consider tickets via Computech.
No, it won't work. You know why it won't work? It's very easy. The capacity of the stadium, the tickets can work. But remember, tickets without seat numbers are nothing
exactly
to go by. What works is a seat number where even if I'm late, I go at half time.
You find
I should find my chair. It's written. My ticket and the seat number is matching. I'm able to kick anybody out of that chair because I paid for it.
Exactly.
But the situation here is very difficult. We've seen situations where people have paid for the open wing, they sneak their way into the grandstand.
Yeah.
And you know this is rainy season. Very high chances that people will be avoiding the terraces, the open terraces. They will pay to be in the open terraces. When the showers of blessings drop, this is a rain season. Everybody will be scampering in the same direction to go and sit in the VIP or in the grandstand because of the shelter that is required. It's a very tricky situation, but we can only hope that the clubs will comply.
Let's look at let's touch a bit on the Wednesday game. The NAPSA, is it on Thursday? The NAPSA Beautycon game. Because as it stands, it's the first game that will be played with fans.
Yeah, we've got one midweek game which has been confirmed. Beautycon is hosting NAPSA.
And it's the first game that will be hosted with fans. So for you, how is it going to be for the players?
It's a fantastic call for me, and we have got a caller on the line. We will proceed with that.
Hello?
Okay, we can proceed.
We've lost the caller anyway. So how is it going to be for the players?
It's a very good motivating spirit to the players and to the fans out there as well. Everybody's motivated to go. I'm not just too sure about the capacity of Bitcoin having soccer fans. we can't run away from the fact that it's a new club on the scene, and it's a club that has been in existence for not more than 10 years, and depending on the capacity, and you know that game will be played from, I think it will be played from Levi Mwanawasa Stadium on Wednesday, and we can only hope that fans can trek to that stadium. They haven't been seeing football for a long time, and now football is back. The capacity of the stadium itself is good enough to accommodate the entire Copper Belt province. So we can only urge all the fans to get there, go and cheer up, and most of all, I think all the fans there, go and watch your representatives in the CAF Confederations Cup. NAPSA Stars is there, and they are coming to Ndola, and that game will be an interesting match because NAPSA Stars haven't started too well this season, and they are on a trajectory where they are stabilizing. But at this point in time, we don't need teams to be stabilizing. We need them to be on a positive trajectory, considering that the fixtures for the continental games are out. CAF announced the continental fixtures on the 10th, and I think the first legs will be played on the weekend of 27th to 29th of November, and the Copper Belt fans will be in for a fantastic game on Wednesday, and Go and watch Napsa Stars. Go and watch Luka Banda, the Zambia national soccer team centre back.
Who shocked people?
I'm only hoping that the national team can come back in good time after they play in Botswana on Monday and they get back here in good time for him to feature on the Wednesday game. Otherwise, Napsa Stars are going to miss a very, very great player on that particular fixture.
Winford, exactly. What's your take for you on terms of the same game?
I think, but for me, I'll start with Napsa Stars. They haven't started, I think, on a very good note when it comes to our domestic league. When you look at the game that they played, I think they're just coming from a draw against Young Green Eagles. And for me, that simply is something that is telling me to say this is a team that now needs to push up in terms of the way they can start viewing these games. When you look at that game, I think they missed a couple of chances here and there, despite, I think, having some good strikers in the team. Coming to the...
I beg to differ. Napsa Stars have got a challenge with the striking force. I've watched all their 3 games this season. Religiously watched all the 3 games. And in those 3 games, they have changed their striking force 3 times.
3 times, yes, that's true.
This guy, Timothy Otieno from Kenya, who arrived on the scene, I watched him the first game. I was like, okay, maybe he's yet to settle. The second game, he came off the bench. I watched him. The third game, he was off the bench again. They have used Chanda Mushidi, they have used Bonu Mwape, they have used the Timothy Otieno as well in all the matches, and the results.
But
that's true, Uncle Robinson.
It's horrible for me, and this is where this club representing Zambia in the continental games, they have to up their game.
Exactly, that's what I wanted to say, because I think that is simply showing us to say when they are starting to play these continental games, I think it's not something that will be easy for them. Look, they have failed to find, I think, the back of the net on our local scene. When it comes to this, it will be the first time for them. So I think it's just high time they had to up their game and see if they can progress to the next level.
Gorabson, you want to differ?
No. Fred is alright. I saw one the Luduk Mavungo found the back of the net once against Zesco United in the 98th minute. And
which caused the havoc.
Yeah, it's in the past now, but clearly goal scoring is an issue at Napsa Stars at the moment, and we can only wish the team a very, very quick and positive trajectory towards getting off the dry spell of scoring goals, and they better sharpen up their strikers. Otherwise, continental football is in and it's around the corner in the next 2 weeks. It will be very, very difficult for them if they can't pull up their socks.
Anyway, for the viewers who are just joining us, you are watching Off the Pitch, the show that gives you nothing but the best highlights in terms of whatever happened within the course of the week. And for all those who would love to watch us in terms of Murimumpanga, you can also watch us live on Facebook. Just follow our page, which is Camnet. You'll be able to watch us live there. And let's just pick up this call. Someone is on the line. Hello.
Good afternoon, Amos.
Good afternoon, Uncle Oga.
How is Uncle Robson and Winford in the studio?
They are parangeshing each other.
I was surprised to find out that Uncle Robson is not a Ghana fan.
I was just asking a question, Amos. It's a question that just needed an affirmative answer from Amos. It's like you asking someone to say, am I not a Red Arrows fan? The question is, are we going to agree that you are? Yes, if we agree, then it doesn't change the fact that you are. How are you?
I'm good. So I just wanted to contribute a little bit on the game against Botswana.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I've noticed in meetings friendly games, we never used to press. That's why we have been conceding a lot of goals. But if you notice in the way we set the game, yeah, we did well in terms of pressing, and we were not exposed because we pressed high up the field. I think that's something which we should pick up from and build up from. And in terms of midfield, I think we need a little bit of creativity because we never had a lot of runners in the box apart from Colin Sikombe supporting the striker was sometimes isolated. And like Mitchell said, we need to convert our chances because we created a lot of chances, but we didn't put them away.
So like before you go, Augustine, what's your take on the question? Is Zambia going to qualify after the Thursday game?
It determines what happened in Botswana.
Okay.
Pakistan, I think it's very, very key. We need to go and pick up maximum points. I think what I can say is that everything is just in our hands. Because we just need to win all our remaining games and we'll qualify.
Okay, thank you, my guy. All the best where you are observing the games that are being played abroad.
Oh, okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
We'll back in the studio next week.
Okay, sure thing.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, I think let's hit the nail on the head. Let's go to that now on corruption. Augustine has already set the fire ablaze. Let's look at the...
I think the Thursday game was a very, very good game. And to begin with, we had 11 players that started the match. And surprisingly so, Augustine and Justin had started that match ahead of one player that has been on the rise at national level, that is Kelvin Mwanga Kampamba. And for me, the game started on a very, very good note, very, very high tempo, and we were caught off guard. The goalkeeper mistimed the flight of that ball, and you know, where the game has started, you are pressing, you keep on going, you keep on missing chance after chance. Botswana had one chance, they went up, and they converted their chance. And bravo to the boys, great performance, a great reaction. Within a minute or two, we saw the game being leveled 1-0. And for me, when I look at the player ratings, I'm only hoping that the team that ended the match towards the team that ended on the pitch is the team that should be centered around starting against Botswana, because we started very, very positively, except we were very, very wasteful up front. We saw a couple of chances where Justin Shonga, I don't know how many chances he needed to have to convert one goal. And you know, when you are a striker, of course, he's a bit rusty because of the situation where he's coming from. He's on a recovery plan in terms of match game time. He hasn't had game time for quite a bit of time, and it was good to put confidence in him. And kudos to Micho, he believes in the boys and he started the boys, and they were a bit wasteful, Augustine and Shonga. But at the end of the day, teamwork prevailed, and we carried the day as a nation.
Winford, let's look at a lot of, I think for me, a surprising thing which we saw Lubambo Msonda being handed the armband.
Yeah, I think before I even tackle that one, I would just like to, concur with what Uncle Robson from saying. I think Micho is a bit unpredictable. If you've been following, I think the first, maybe 3 just friendly matches that we played, would agree with me to say certain players, I think that were expecting to start on that game, I think didn't make it. The likes of Kelvin, maybe even when you look at the centre backs that we had, I think on that particular day we had Luka Banda from NAPSA. So for me, Micho is a bit unpredictable. On the right back, I was also more like a bit surprised to see Gampani. Even if he has played that, I think, at Supersport at one point, I was surprised to see Gampani at the right back. So I think, all in all, it's just a matter of more like giving confidence to these guys, especially to Uganda, Shonga. And it's up to them now to up their mental psyche. You know, I think the morale that they had on that day, I think it was low. So it's up to them now to up that. They are good players, and we can't let them go now. Coming to Lubambo Msonda Ambad, I think for me, that was, I think, a good motivation, I think, to him. You know, it was more like a confidence booster. Given the fact that this is a guy, I think, who has been around the national team for quite some time now. If you remember very well, he made, I think, his first appearance for Sportport. I think that was, I think, the game that we played against, if I'm not mistaken, should be Korea or Japan in USA, where he scored the cracker. So for me, the main reason why I was given that number is because he's one of more like the oldest player that we have in the Sport Polo squad, and because of that, it's something that gave him, I think, that confidence to prove it on the pitch, to say, look, now today I'm the captain, and they really have to make it and prove to the technical bench and the fans out there to say, this amber that you gave it to me, let me work for it. And he proved it to us through that assist that I think he did, and Enoch Mwepa to convert that one. And I was even telling my friends to say, I think for me in that game, he was my man of the match. He really performed very well. A lot of people are surprised to see him get substituted, but you know, that's football, and the coach and the technical bench knew why they did that. But all in all, I think Lubambo Msonda is one of our, I think, our best attacker that we have currently in that squad.
Uncle Robson, let's look at the player rating.
Sebastian, we're starting with the goalkeeper, of course. Sebastian Mwange, I would give him 6 out of 10. If you ask me, he played the game, he misjudged one flight of a ball and he conceded a goal. And for me, he gets a 6 out of 10, if you ask me. Right back, I didn't expect Company to start.
Exactly, I didn't expect that.
He played very well, he accounted for himself very, very well. Let's not take anything away from him. Probably I can give him a 6 as well. When you go to left back, Zakaria Chirongoshi, I would give him a 7. He was on point. You could see the overlaps. They were very good actually at swapping with Augustine on the left side of the pitch. You could see him overlapping and getting back. And for me, he accounted for himself very, very well. The two centre backs, Luka Banda and Tandy. It was a very, very great combination, very, very great combination, and the performance of those two boys is highly coming from the credit of one, Kelvin Kapumbu. I mean, Kapumbu was the holding midfielder. The guy really overworked himself to protect the centre backs. He did his job on the day, and for me, he was very, very, very stable in midfield, if you ask me, under the conditions which they were playing in. He was very firm, very, very firm. He protected the centre-backs. And for Tandy and Luka, well, they went to sleep on that header. And of course, the goalkeeper misjudged it. And you could see the positioning of the two guys. Each one of them was thinking, this one is going to pick this player, or this one is going to pick this player. In the end, we saw a striker sneaking in and heading that ball into the back of the net. Both defenders, for me, I can give them a 6 out of 10 because of that very one mistake. Of course, they played a very, very good game. Kelvin Kapumbu, I would give him 8 out of 10. My man of the match, Ruwan Bomsonda, I will still stick to it.
Yeah, even the last time.
The man was on point. Exactly. The armband gave him the extra motivation that he wanted to showcase his leadership skills on the pitch. And clearly, he took things personal a couple of times.
Yeah,
where he had to become a game changer on his own. Even the equalizer, if you saw the type of work he did on the left flank, the assist that he gave to Enoch Mwepu was on point. Because he did all the work. Enoch Mwepu positioned himself very well. That boy has matured, eh? Enoch Mwepu.
That's what you can do.
That boy has matured. Just his positioning throughout the match, if you followed his movements on the pitch, he knows where to be at the right time.
Exactly.
And then if you notice before you go further, that move started with him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Getting the ball, passing two guys, giving it to Augustine.
In most cases, that is how European players play.
That's what Europe can do.
And for me, if you ask me, that move, I was very glad for that cutback to come inside. In most cases, an average player, where Lubambo was, would just cut it across.
Exactly.
As in, straight line. An average player would have done that. But because all the defenders were going towards goal, Enoch Mwepu had to wedge himself back, position himself well. The weight of the pass, we normally call it the weight of the pass.
For our director to understand.
The pass was very well weighted. It just required redirecting it into the right position of the goal. And that's exactly what we did to recover. So for me, Lubambo gets an 8 out of 10. Enoch Mwepu, probably, if you ask me, 9.5 out of 10. His performance, his arrival, his late arrival, his flight fatigue, and the contribution he made on the pitch is very exceptional. Very, very exceptional. I didn't expect him to start to begin with because of his late arrival. Of course, in practice, you would say he's going to be a game changer because he's got fatigue and probably he will come in and change a game. But Coach Micho had faith in him and we had no choice but to start the game with him.
Okay, I think before we go further with this, mostly there are times that we go around the field and profile players, but this time around we looked at profiling someone who is very dedicated to a team which is called City Market, and he's He's got his own profession, but he just said, okay, I love football, so let me just do this for the boys. So let's just look at this profile of one of the coaches who coaches City Market, and we had to profile him. Let's take a look at this clip.
Mas tô aí a bola, na missis. Tô ali essa briga com bola até. E ali uma bola. At least 80-85% of what we've been training, Marufiari money. Only a few people over there shall have 1 or 2. But the overall, as a team, the performance was okay. Coaches, definitely money. Na caralho de ser vapor. Joa ser vapor na ankwe. Basande bapanta kwa muntu. I'm the head coach for City Market. Yeah. I also try to take this opportunity to thank the police command for allowing me to be coaching City Market. As you may know, I'm a police officer. Yeah, so I want to thank the command, the police high command, for giving me an opportunity to allow me to start coaching the City Market Football Club. I've been with the team, this is my 3rd season with the team. We started from amateur, Division 3 until Division 2. I was assistant coach until this season I was appointed as head coach. This season our objective, or what the management of City Market want. We want to win promotion to Division 1. That is the aim that we've got, and also participating in the provincial first tournament that started last season, but it was stopped due to the outbreak of COVID-19. So we stopped at the quarter-final stage. Then on the 1st of November, we played the quarter-final against Bowling Eagles, and we won right here at our home ground. So on Sunday, we're playing Riflemen in the semi-finals. The boys are ready. Riflemen is in Division 1, and they've got a lot of experienced players like the Loti Piris of this world, the former Zesco player, Buffalo's player. He played for Cabo Warriors. He's now at Riflemen. So they've got a very well experienced team. So it's not an easy game we're going to, and again we're playing away in the barracks, but that is not going to demotivate us. My young boys are going to do the job. We are ready for Riflemen. The friendly game against Mrs. Academy, which is in Division 1. We had 2 matches with them, and we won both games. And today we are playing against the Chiboli Academy guys. As you can see in the background, that's the game that is going on. So far so good. The boys are gelling. We've got some new players that we've brought in. So the cohesion is there, and we're getting there. Young boys should be taken up well. There are young boys that others who want to rush. No, I can't be playing Division 2. I'm playing well. I want to go to a bigger team, but we always try to guide them or now we can move about, or now we can play football. They come from different backgrounds. Others, they'll come with an issue, no, I've got this, because in Division 2, these boys are not paid. Yeah, they are not paid that they've got a monthly income, no. So we try to guide them on how they should be behaving. This season we're in Division 2. Our aim is to qualify to Division 1 next season. If we're in Division 1 next season, we'll take it as it comes. But our aim is to play the Premier League. Last season, we had 2 players that went to under 17. We had the goalkeeper Jomango. He's now injured. He had an operation, so he hasn't just started training. And Poka Pendo, they went to come for the under 17 last season. This season, there are good of players. There is our midfielder Steven Zulu, our team captain Philip Aman Janji. Those boys, very soon we'll see them at the bigger clubs. I want to thank first, because what used to happen, we just used to play the league games. Now they brought in the provincial tournaments. So at least they expose the boys. Because we played the likes of Lusaka City Council, the likes of City of Lusaka. So at least it's giving the boys some exposure. What I can just say is just to encourage my fellow coaches. Let us guide these boys properly as they grow up. We are the ones that can destroy their careers or make their careers. When they come to the ground, we are the parents of these boys. So let's teach them the right morals and what to do on the pitch. And let me even take this opportunity to thank the Lusaka City Market Management for the support that they are giving to the team, and for the confidence that they have shown in me, in giving me the team. So I want to thank the management.
Hopefully we can have a lot of people with the mindset and the passion of one Mr. Kennedy, who has got a lot of passion for the sports, which is football, and you've seen there where he's giving his plans for that. But anyway, before wasting much of the times, I think we've looked at the Zambia versus Botswana game, but we had other games and other fixtures that were being played, because these games that are being played are back to back. And I mean back to back, meaning we are going to play Botswana at home, which is on the 16th. But again, let's look at other games where we had Ghana, who beat Sudan by 2-0. Were you expecting such a scoreline?
Well, it's not a surprising call for me. Ghana has been dominating that fixture for many years, and that result doesn't change much. And for me, it was expected that they would win, and those are giants of Africa. And when you see the boys that scored in that match, it's nothing new, really. It's nothing new. There's only one game that should take center stage. That happened yesterday, and it's so surprising. I can't wait to talk about that game, but clearly I have the chance to talk about it now. Let me talk about it now. The game between Nigeria and Sierra Leone. Considering that we don't have too much time left, I think that game leaves a lot to be desired. I think the technical bench of the Nigerian national soccer team will have a lot of work to do, and you can't be leading a team 4-0 by the 30th minute and the game ends 4-4 after 90 minutes. It's so very unprofessional. I know it's a game of football, but when I say very unprofessional, it's in terms of the technical abilities of the technical bench to make the right changes and defend a 4-0 lead. It's kudos to Sierra Leone for me, and I think the coach, the visiting coach, and by the way, Nigeria was at home. They were playing back at home, and you are leading 4-0 in the 30th minute, and after 90 minutes it ends with a 4-4. I think for me credit goes to Sierra Leone, because the coach made the right changes, and the intensity of the match started in the 78th minute.
Let's look at how stiff our group is, where Zambia is. Let's look at the Algeria versus Zimbabwe game, which ended in a 3-1, the thrashing of Zimbabwe.
I think for me, being a Zambian, I think it was a good result, given that Zimbabwe was beaten. And
you see how the new normal has come. He's talking about being a Zambian. That result is good. It's a situation where we are now, where we have to wait for other teams to beat our colleagues for us to have a positive chance.
Calculators have to wait.
That's where it's going on.
But yeah, when you look at that game, I think almost everyone was expecting Algeria to win. When you look at the caliber of players that they have, I think they have one of the most, talented players who are playing in top European leagues. Even Zimbabwe, they have that. But for me, Algeria, I think, only needs now, I think, a point to make it to the AFCON. And it's up to us, Zambia and Zimbabwe and Botswana, if only we can make it. That's why I was saying that in the area, I want to say that it's good that Zimbabwe lost. Now, as Zambians, we have to win that game that we're playing against Botswana on Monday. It's a must-win game. And like what you are saying, I think it's a matter of using calculators now. Now, if Zimbabwe drops, I think, points on Monday now, and one thing I've just seen, I think, when it comes to, I think, our national team, I think the mentality has changed. When we look at the mentality of our boys, I think we can give kudos to the technical bench and the players. If we're able to come, I think, back from, by goal, it's something that is good for us as Mother Zambia. When we played South Africa during that friendly game, we did the same. And I'm on hoping that on Monday we are going to beat Botswana for us to move on the second spot.
Anyway, due to time, let's look at the CAF Confederation which they released. And Angorapson, earlier you spoke of NAPSA, who is not doing well, who is not performing well, who is going to start away to Ngazi Club.
For me, NAPSA Stars, their shaky start to the league is probably making them work extra hard to prepare for those games. Because the opposite might also be true, where you start very well, you start thinking that you are there when you are not there. And then when you face a club that is a very, very unknown club for me, you will realize that you can get shocked. For me, the negativity, the slow start to the league is making them stronger and stronger. And I think from the many changes that I've watched NAPSA Stars make, they are trying to create a team now. And by the time that game will be played, I think the coach would have found a formidable team that can cause an upset.
And we also have got the likes of Green Eagles, who is also starting with an away game to Musongati FC.
Tonga 20
of Burundi. I think when you look at Green Eagles, I think they have started on a very good note, and this is not their first time, I think, participating in continental football. We are just, I think, hoping for them to win that game in Burundi. I've never heard, I think, that team for some time now, and looking at some statistics that I have to do in terms of research, I think it's also a good team. I did well in Burundi. It's just a matter of, I think, now time. I think that team is also coming on the scene. But all you know, I think Green Eagles is going to pull through.
Let's look at our two representatives in the CAF Champions League, where we have got Ghana, who is also away to Bantu FC.
Ghana has got an easy fixture. We've had a very, very shaky start. We've had a very, very shaky start to the Premier League locally in Zambia, to the Zambian Super League. But playing Bantu FC, I think for me it's a blessing in disguise, and our route to the group stages looks much, much, much easier than the Forest route, because the winners of that match will face, I think, the winners of Atletico Club of Angola. They will be playing some other team, I'm not sure about the name, but the route to the group stages for Ghana looks much, much easier than the route for Forest Rangers. Because Forest Rangers, remember the game they have, whoever wins between those two is going to face TP Mazembe, because TP Mazembe is on bye in the first round. So they'll join them in the second round. And it's good. It's a good route for Forest Rangers. They've started very, very strongly in the Zambian Super League by beating, of course, the biggest team in the country, Nkana Football Club, also Forest Rangers. They also went on to wire Zesco United. And for me, their path to the group stages of the Champions League, the way they have started, if they can maintain that rhythm and that pace, TP Mazembe, by the way, there is no Zambian team that has gone past TP Mazembe in any knockout stage of the continental games in Africa. They won't be the first ones to be kicked out, and they won't be the last ones to be kicked out.
You are too confident that they will be kicked out.
No, I'm talking about history. TP Mazembe has done a lot of injustice to the Zambian teams in continental football. There is no team that has ever gone past them. So we can only wish Forest Rangers all the best in the first round. When they meet TP Mazembe in the second round, probably you and I will have to drive to Ndola to go and watch that game.
Yes, we will.
Because we need to give the boys all the support they need.
Anyway, whilst we're still on you, Uncle Rapson, your closing remarks in just 30 seconds.
My closing remarks probably are centered around the game on Monday, and I can only wish that Coach Micho, I know he's got very, very good technical abilities, and you will see quite some changes in the starting 11 on Monday for us to get a very, very positive result. And I can only hope that the weather behaves itself, because Zambia didn't play the game that we are used to seeing. And Micho, clearly from the few friendlies that I've watched, it's a passing game that he likes. We couldn't do that because the pitch was very, very waterlogged. I was very disappointed with the pitch. I was thinking that probably the drainage has been designed in such a way that, you know, the Nkrumah Stadium is way, way better than Hero Stadium in terms of the drainage. Surface, yeah. And I'm only hoping that on Monday, the boys can have a very, very clear pitch, no rains, great weather, expecting a positive result from them. And I can only wish them all the best.
Okay, thank you so much. My closing remarks, I think, are just centered around, I think, the coming of fans back, I think, on the pitch. It's good, and all I can say is let's try by all means, I think, to abide by the guidelines that will be given as fans. And I'm just wishing Chipolopolo the best in, I think, on Monday's game. It's a must-win game for us, and I think that will also give us some confidence in the next fixture that we'll be playing against Algeria.
Anyway, those were the closing remarks from the two gents that were with me on set. And obviously, even me, my closing remarks will be on just wishing all the best to the Chipolopolo boys who are playing Botswana back on, is it on Monday? On Monday, yeah, on the 16th. And hopefully we'll be able to watch the game live. And to our director who is busy giving us signs to say, it's been a great show that we've had, and hopefully hoping to have Augustine anytime soon back with us, because he's busy doing his work, cultivating somewhere where he wants to buy players for Red Arrows, and hopefully you yield the results. But then I've been your host, Amos, and hoping to see you next week, same time, same place. We're out.